In a church family, there's going to be people you need to adopt. You know, when I trusted Jesus, I would ride my bike to church, and I would put it off on the back part of the property behind one of the buildings, and then I would walk across the property there through the parking lot, and there was a pastor who was there. He was an old codger. His name was Jack. And he had been a missionary in Bolivia, but he was a great servant of God. And you know, that old guy, I was just a teenager, early teens. He would meet me and shake my hand and says, "Hey, man, keep following Jesus," that kind of stuff. And then preachers always got little things like that to say. And then I would go in and sit down. But that guy did that for years and years. And then eventually, I became the senior pastor of the church. He was on staff. And we would do hospital visits and things like that. And then I had the privilege of burying that guy. He was like a dad to me. That's just one example. But there were others. There were others who weren't pastors. There was a guy by the name of Ben Peak. He was one of the key leaders in our church. He was kind of what we would say would be like the chairman of the elder board. That would be the equivalent here. And he never knew me. But you could see his leadership in different ways. And I remember watching, admiring, just thinking, man, this guy, people lean on him. They look up to him. This is the kind of guy you want to be. And he loved his wife. He loved his children. He loved the church. He loved the gospel. He invested. And I watched him for years. And again, he never knew me, but I knew him. And I was just always kind of watching at a distance. Well, Jared and I went back to our home church. And we had a little boy at the time, and one of our little boys needed to go to the bathroom. So I took him to the bathroom, and I picked him up and put him up against the sink. Y'all know what I'm talking about? You get his little hands. Little hands are so precious. And you put the soap in there. It's like, can't you rub them together? No, Dad, I can't do that, right? And so you got to put their hands together. I'm rubbing his little hands, and putting it under the water, and I look up in the mirror, and there's Ben Peak right next to us. And I look at my son, and go, "Oh, John, this is Ben Peak." And he looks, and he doesn't know me, right? He doesn't know my name. And he looks at me, and I said, "John, this is Ben Peak. He was the chairman of our deacons at our church. He was a key leader when I was growing up. Oh, man, I look up to him." And I started telling these different stories about him. And Ben, you could just see his chest is getting bigger by the second. It was awesome. And then I'm like, when you grow up, you got to be a man like Ben Peak. He loves God. He loves his family. He loves his church. He loves the gospel. He's changed his community in Jesus' name. This is the kind of... He looks at me and says, "Is he kind of like Moses?" Yeah, he is. He is. So there's guys like that. Adopt them here. Hey, single moms, adopt them. You young ladies, you might be driving to church by yourself. Broken family, adopt a few around here. All right, we did in our family. We've got lots of them, and even this year we've buried a couple of our grandpas and uncles in the church.